Greetings and God bless. So lately I have been pondering the different phases of the mud flood. So it seems like there will be, let's say, not everywhere, but there will be this mass concrete, like these huge stones, and then we have bricks, and then we have, you know, crappy houses made out of wood. And, so that's like implying there was just three resets, and it's clear there's probably been more. So I wonder if there were, God did different resets. When Satan fell, uh, then there needed, I'm wondering if God created like buildings to occupy, to provide something for the angels. So I wonder about that. And then when Adam and Eve fell, did God build buildings, create structures? Um, and I wonder, especially now, this one, with the Tower of Babel. So God told, and this was before there were Hebrews or Israel, this was before God made his covenant with Israel. So everybody was just everybody, everything. And so Nimrod, who Satan inhabited, Nimrod was the beast of that time. And Nimrod was building this huge tower trying to reach the third heaven where God occupies. And God was like, this isn't good. So he gave everybody different languages to speak, because before that he had told everybody to scatter around the face of the earth. So actually, I'm wondering if that time maybe was when God did maybe the first, the gray concrete version. And who knows, maybe after Noah's flood, could God have uh, done a new iteration using red brick? So, anyways, like there's different resets that God has performed, like when with Sodom and Gomorrah, the materials, sulfur has been found in the biblical location. So God has performed resets, and I wonder if God has actually installed some of the structures. It does seem to me, though, some of the aesthetics, like of course the Illuminati triangle kind of stuff, the Illuminati obelisks, like that does seem like dark stuff. So I do think that the more recent Antiquitech kind of thing perhaps is fallen angel technology. Yet I wonder if the big uh, gray concrete, like poured cast structures that are bigger and just huge were by God. And from what I understand, is Adam and Eve, and I think who was the next one? Moses. They were actually all taller than the average human being. So Adam and Eve, they lived like 1,000 years. I think Moses 900, and it does seem that uh, in this heritage that these very tall, ancient, original humans lived longer, and the intention when God originally created Adam and Eve was that they live eternally and rule as king and queen over the earth. But then Satan messed things up. So being that Adam and Eve and Moses, I think that's the right one. Um, like Adam and Eve, at least, I think were giants. So if the original humans were a lot taller than those cathedral-like, what do we call them, energy power plants, that would accommodate perhaps an original human being like Adam and Eve who were much taller, because humans have devolved since Adam and Eve. Like Adam named all the animals. Adam was like a super genius. So in humans, intelligence has declined, as we have seen through the architecture, as John Levi keeps on pointing out. Like, look at this rickety shack and the horse and buggy claiming to uh, build this glorious, huge building, exquisite, palace in a year, and then it's destroyed the next year or something like that. So, yeah, so those are the thoughts I've been having, wondering about, could God have played a part in maybe the original largest base infrastructure, and then maybe the red brick could have been later humans, or maybe it was God. Uh, and that if Adam and Eve, if the original humans were actually a lot taller, would the power plants then be suited for their height? And also, from what I understand about castles and like that French, there's that French palace. Like there weren't bathrooms, or there was just like one bathroom for like a 400 room space. Now that implies that humans' biology was different, and there was no heating, so that implies the weather was different. And so I wonder, if our proximity to the sun was closer in the past, and if people were like breatharians and maybe they didn't eat food, so they didn't have to evacuate. And this was a concept that somebody had suggested a few years ago. I had just begun learning about Tartaria and mudflood, and I can't remember who said it. So, but it was one of the original content creators talking about this stuff, maybe in, I don't know, 2019 or more or less. So, uh, so that might explain the odd structure of these these castles, or these power plants. Um, so yeah, somebody needs to go through and distinguish between like which ones have antiquitech, and where are these melted remnants of melted rock? Were they these castles, or were they a wall? And it would make sense, why were walls? Like John Levi's lately been exploring these walls, and it, I wonder if it's so in before the flood, uh, there had been the fallen angels had been manipulating DNA, having intercourse with animals, and chimeras, these half animal, half bird, half bull, half human, like these uh, hybrids of different and interspecies hybrids created with sex and magic and stuff. There was just so much of this unclean genetics, which is why one of the reasons why God had the flood. And so perhaps reasons why was to keep out these chimera, and there was also the offspring of the fallen angels, like Satan and the other fallen angels, they mated with women, and so their offspring was called the Nephilim. They were giants. They were the little g, like the men of renown, like Hercules, and Zeus was probably a fallen angel, and Hera, and all the gods of antiquity, gods of Native American religion, gods of Hindu, gods of China. Those were all fallen angels or their offspring, the men and women of renown. So perhaps, so walls needed to keep out dangerous um, beings, perhaps. Sieges probably went on. And one other thing, I'm just throwing this all in here. So there's a lot of history of, or there's those catacombs of all these skulls and all these human bones that have been, they're pristine. They've been boiled, and they're just shined. And from what I understand is this is this like why would people be boiling a whole bunch of human bones and just putting them up like decoration? Like, would you do that? Is that how you would remember your family? I mean, that's just not what we understand to be Western culture. And it could be, but I suspect there was cannibalism, and not just cannibalism. I wonder if there was some type of zombieism that occurred just at different points in time. And it doesn't seem like there's actual concrete history. There's some books that are written about it that, um, act like it's a fact, but it's just fictional or something like that. But if we look at Amazon, they have what appears to be some type of zombie outbreak clause. And if you look at a lot of cities, they have, and it's been scrubbed. I've looked it up. So if you look at maybe like 2015 to 2017, 2019, you'll find it. But most cities, or a lot of cities, have this type of zombie clause, this zombie preparedness document that the city had made, that the city had hired people to write about. And, the CDC, they try to make fun, try to joke about it. I can't remember which other big federal government website has stuff about zombies in it. So I wonder if that, like, if there's some type of bioweapon that makes people turn into zombies, or if it's a factor of poor sanitation and famine, uh, you know, some type of infection like yellow fever or dengue fever combined with whatever. But just that there's all these skeletal remains kept in like an organized fashion, and there are remains, and I'm totally generalizing here, but like where humans have, it's been found that there's human teeth marks on the bones. So, there could be like the Donner parties. People got stranded in a winter time and they ate the dead. So that could be, that, so it might not, if it's just onesie twosie kind of things, but it does seem like there's enough of these crypts with all like hundreds of skeletons that are perfectly cleaned and stuff like that. Like, who would take the time to butcher a human body and boil it clean? Like, that is just really disgusting, revolting, and it's unclean. Like, it's just like you wouldn't be doing that unless you had some type of powerful motivation. And I wonder if it was like famine and cannibalism and, I mean, when it's so systemic and organized, like, was it people after the fact finding all the bodies that put them well organized, after people boiled them? I mean, of course, people boiling human bones then means that they're not like brainless zombies. So, so so it's like that is something else. I wonder. I mean, could that have been one of the reasons for God's flooding of the world, or part of Sodom and Gomorrah? Like, could that have been one of the reasons why God did that? So, those have been things that have been percolating in the back of my mind. And, if you guys know more about this and you feel inspired to share, I'd really be curious. So, anyways, thank you for watching. God bless.